Have you heard for Teach for America?
No.
Okay, so Teach for America, I don't even know if it's a nonprofit or if it's a foundation, like political activist group. But essentially what they do is they try to reverse teaching and education disparities in lower income neighborhoods by essentially taking gifted college students who may be a little bit directionless, like, they don't have a lot of direction where they're going, into basically taking on a 1 to 2 year teaching assignment on an accelerated teaching credential in hard-hit cities like Chicago, Detroit, Los Angeles, etc. And they do a few great things for you. Before I disparage them, they help pay back your student loans while you're there. That's great. They give you a stipend, they give you a salary, and they give you something to do for a couple of years while you don't know what you're doing, with a proper salary with medical. So it's not a bad organization, and it's very prestigious, actually. It's kind of hard to get accepted. Because of the fact that there's so many college students who are directionless, like they don't have any. They don't.
So
have
like
any,
all of them, basically.
So it's like everyone graduating.
Hold on. You got a degree in molecular biology.
Yeah.
And you're a journalist.
Yeah. I actually dropped out of grad school to do this.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be a scientist. You're letting down your scientist
I still get
parents
messages from med school saying, "Please come to our school." I did really well too. People don't realize this. I almost got a 4.0 in molecular biology. I did extremely well in my advanced courses, did research, worked on projects for immunotherapy. I'm like, believe it or not, I know like my show, it's so funny. Like I purposely am just try to be very relaxed and normal like I am in real life. But when it comes to the books and math and things, some of us still do maths,
Well, so what's up with this program you're talking about?
Yeah. So I applied to it because I missed some of the application dates for some of my grad schools, and I was gonna just take a year off, and I was like, no, I'm gonna go do this program, and I had to go to the training before we started school. I got my credential, I did all the tests and blah blah blah, constitution training, and I passed everything first time, and I'm ready to go, and then I have to go to this training in Los Angeles, and the first thing they made us do was to split off into groups of being the oppressed or the oppressor.
What?
Now, I want to tell you this. I think I was the only, I might have been the only white male,
the only
there,
oppressor.
But there was a group of people, I'm not even going to use heterosexual or anything, but it was basically just like said, if you like women and you're a man, or you're a woman and you like men, go to this group, etc. And it was weird that we're talking about our intimate life at a teacher's thing. Like I'm thinking like, I don't know about you, but when I'm in a room with strangers, I'm not interested in what's going on there.
Yeah.
You know what all of this is? It's an exercise in independent function of an individual. If you go into a building and they say, we are going to, here's a job, and we are going to negatively impact your life and your salary and your job if you fit certain criteria. And all you have to do is be like, oh yeah, I'm gay, sure, whatever. And then they leave you alone.
Well, not for Milo. He didn't get away with that. But I was going to say, like, what was weird is by the end of this, I was the only person in my own group. I was the ultimate oppressor. And I remember they're like, does anyone have any negative thoughts about this? And I said, yes, I have thoughts about this. What does this have to do with teaching high school students about cellular function? All I need to tell them is the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, and tell Juan to get his stop looking at inappropriate images during class on his phone. And that's I understand most of it's just class management, but when it gets down to it, I was realizing they were even talking about how there's certain words you can't use, you're not in control of the class, you're managing the class, like there's all this weird SJW stuff, and I even hate that word, so 2017, but it's true. This was during that era, so I can use that 2016 era or whatever, and I sat there and I go, something is wrong with this country where I've come in to teach kids science, which is very indiscriminate. In fact, for a lot of time, besides people think there's all these debates and evolution, everything, not in real science. Science, everyone just goes, whatever, evolution, you disagree, agree, let's go do research. Let's go study cell development. Let's go study pathways and try to figure out new interferons, et cetera, and develop immunological therapies. No one's like, hey, dude, who do you sleep with? Like, no one ever asked me my whole degree.
To be fair, I think if I'm going to understand what the mitochondria is, I need to know if you're banging dudes. It's just logic.
You didn't know what's going on in the powerhouse of the body down there. But like, I'm just thinking, like, I'm going. I remember sitting there, so I called NPR. And I talked to, I think it was Larry Elder, and I remember that's kind of how I got started.
Larry
in this.
Elder,
really?
One of the people. Is that his name?
Yeah, I
In
think,
NPR?
so.
He's at NPR.
He might have been at one point.
Oh wow.
Maybe I have the wrong person.
Okay.
I could be wrong. You could look that up. But it was one of the big guys, and he took me on, and I complained about it publicly and said, I cannot. This was during the time of outrage where people were just starting to wake up. Like I'm going, I cannot believe I'm trying to get into science and be a professor and go in this direction, and I'm being asked about who I sleep with. I'm being ostracized because of the color of my skin. I'm in this program because I did well. I'm in this program not like boasting, but I'm here because I have high marks. Because I'm overqualified. I'm here. I'm a blessing to this program. Like not being prideful, but meaning. I'm actually looking at this, not the program, like, you know what, I would love for a year to invest in some high school kids' lives, junior high kids' lives, pour into them, teach them about life, science, help them get into some good colleges. But no, I ended up quitting the program because they demonized me over a weekend experience, literally. And then here's the best part. At the end, they had this weird, these really weird exercises that they do, like these weird, like group. Have you been a part of any of these?
No, I look, I didn't go to high school.
Okay, you really?
I didn't go to high school at all.
Do you have a GAD?
No.
Good. Hey, hell yeah, that's awesome.
Dude, I was a teenage anarchist. F the system. I don't play by your rules. I do what I want when I want. That was it.
Can we talk about the black clad people on here? Can I mention them by name? Is that
Antifa?
Okay, good. I didn't know if it messes with
I'm like, what you talking about?
I didn't know if it messes with your live monetization.
Oh no, I want to. We're gonna talk about the riots in a second.
I'm just saying with the Antifa. Hey guys, if you're watching this and you're tearing down your city, burning it down, just so you know, you can become a successful YouTuber just like Tim Pool. That was just my PSA to the.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, they're not burning down their own cities.
Oh yeah, they're burning down other people's cities.
That's right.
No, okay, we'll get to that. But I was gonna say, so they had this weird Me Too-esque exercise where we had two separate groups split up, and one group got in a circle and we closed our eyes, and they had the other group walk around the circle and touch on the shoulder people who they agreed met this question. So they'd ask something like, "Who changed your experience this weekend?" And people would walk up and touch the person with their eyes closed shoulder. Very creepy.
Yeah.
You know what I would do? And this is part of the reason why I didn't end up going to high school. It's because I challenged authority no matter what, and I preyed upon their assumptions. I was 14. If they did an exercise where they were like this,
close your eyes and let strangers touch you.
You know what I would do? I would start making noises and go, "I don't like to be touched." And I have stories of when I went to high school for about 2 months, and then ultimately they were like, "This kid can't be here."
It's like freshman year, 14.
Yeah, so
this is interesting.
They realized I could not be in this school because all of the loopholes, all of the cracks in the system. I found all of them, and I preyed upon every assumption, everything they did, so that they could not actually. Like I found predicaments to put them in where they were like, "What do we do?" Like the rules don't apply. Like what? There's just funny circumstances where they would try and challenge me on things. And then finally, one teacher just told me to F off and like gave me an F on a. It's a long story, but I tried preying upon the assumptions of one of the assignments by creating a circumstance in which he couldn't call me a liar, and then ultimately he just took a blank sheet of paper and put an F on it and gave it to me.
Oh my gosh,
that was essentially what happened. It's a longer story, but
see, I like that. That actually, so I got expelled from high school, and then I almost got expelled the second time. So I'm proud of you for not even going because it was kind of not worth it. The only thing I wish I had those kind of cojones or whatever when I was in high school, but I do know that I did when I was about to get expelled for the second time from my second high school. They asked me why I crossed the line, and similarly I said I didn't cross the line. I was smart enough to bend down and see that it was flexible wire, and I grabbed it and I stretched it further past anyone had ever gone, but I'm still on the other side.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Anyway, look, so I bring this up to make the point.
Yeah.
A lot of people I know went to school, got that indoctrination, or at least a little bit of it as
They're
it
like
was
drones.
As it was creeping in. And so I remember the reason I didn't go to college specifically was that I read an article from an economist who said, if you go to any investor and say for $40,000 over 4 years, you will owe $40,000 plus interest, they'll laugh in your face. And so I was like, wow, that doesn't seem to make sense. College seems to be a waste of time. That's why I was like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to take on debt for this nebulous concept.
Guess how much I have left?
Debt? Oh, what do you got?
92,000 left.
Oh,
Good luck.
Yeah, well, like, you know what though? Luckily, we're in COVID, so it's currently
Frozen.
But
Yes.
I will say I'll pay that off pretty soon. But I'm just gonna say at the end of all this, when people asked, when at the end they had a question of whose opinion like changed your mind the most about the world this weekend, which is weird. We had to have a weekend training. A lot of people me too'd me in that moment. You know,
Me too'd you?
Meaning they touched me while my eyes were closed. They touched you, and I don't mean that. It wasn't like a glory moment. It was actually a pathetic moment where I was going, oh my gosh, these are college educated people who probably come from decent universities. You have to have a certain grade cutoff, etc. And I did nothing but slightly brought up a little dissension, a little bit of adversity to the mainstream opinion. And this affected you. This is not a good program. This is not helping people. This is just a weird, probably government funded program that I don't want to be a part of. And I remember just thinking like, man, this is when I actually really woke up to it. I'm going, I don't want to be in the system because the system is going in a weird direction. I don't want to be a part of educating people if educating people becomes indoctrination. And I know that some people are like, well, you know, this sounds like 4-year-old talking points. This was literally 4 years ago. This is 4-year-old talking points.
This is important primer for what we're going to get into next.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm just saying, like, this is what happened, and this is what got me to, like, okay, I'm not doing that anymore. And I was lost for a little bit until I realized what was the source of the problem. It's the culture wars.
Yeah. So this is it's been building up for a long time. The media plays a big role in it, partly because of, I talked about this too. I actually had an argument with Peter Boghossian. Are you familiar with Peter? He's a associate professor of philosophy, I believe, at Portland. Is Portland, right?
I am not sure.
I
The
don't know.
last name sounds similar, but
He's
he's
one of these Sokol Squared hoaxers who tricked a bunch of scientific journals into accepting garbled mumbo jumbo
on the feminism and stuff.
They rewrote a chapter from Mein Kampf, but put in feminist buzzwords, and it got approved or something like that. Anyway, we were having a conversation before about whether this started in the universities or started with the media, and I think a lot of what he's saying is true, but I think it only broke into the mainstream because of social media algorithms. The general idea, to simplify it, because I talk about it kind of a lot, is if you make a video, or article, no, YouTube doesn't work so much this way, but on YouTube, on Facebook, if you make a video about police brutality, it'll get 1,000 shares. If you make a video about racism, 1,000 shares. If you get a video about racist police brutality, it gets 1,000 plus 1,000 shares. So, you know, X plus Y. So what ended up happening was companies realized that what was making them the most money was mashing as many keywords as possible into an article. Thus, you get these ideas becoming predominant, you know, very mainstream in 2008. And it was like 2006 when it started. It was, I think it was 06. So, you know, it was around the Facebook time when people were finding out they could monetize the Facebook news feed. And then by like 2010, you can see all the data in LexisNexis, the hockey stick of inclusivity and white fragility, and all these phrases are skyrocketing because they realized mixing keywords, like there's an article from Vice where it's like black trans women of color fighting for Black Lives Matter against police brutalities proves the patriarchy is real. Like they just jam it all in there because what happens is the algorithm shares it with more people. And so that leads to where we're at now. And I think one of the reasons it really does, in my opinion, describe your experience. But I do think the ideas had to exist first. So yes, the universities. But my opinion on this is the media, because you take a look at what's going on right now. Police brutality, right? Did you know that there was a period where like the most shared videos on Facebook were all police brutality?
I believe it. I mean, even watching like cops and stuff, people always loved it when the police got down with the suspects. I mean, they did.
I think the reason for it is that anger is the principal motivator for sharing. It's the most prominent motivator. So people get mad, they share things. When people are happy or inspired, they share them a lot less. When people are sad, they definitely don't share. So anger is the number one emotion that drives content sharing. So you make a video about, you know, police brutality, people get angry about it and they share it. This is not okay. And that drives the narrative we have today, which is skewed. And then the mainstream media, who's been just eating the refuse of the Facebook algorithm for a decade, are sitting there in the newsroom believing all of this garbage is real life. You look at Don Lemon's opinion from several years ago. Remember when he said he was talking about Ferguson, I think, or no, it wasn't Ferguson. He was talking about like Black Lives Matter and about how they have to pull their pants up or something.
Yeah. And
Don Lemon made a bunch of racist stereotypes about black people on CNN live.
Yep.
And his opinion's completely inverted today because it's only getting worse and worse and worse. Then what ends up happening is you're talking about this college stuff. And I'm reminded of that viral video. Did you ever see it where the guy goes, "But you're a white male"? Remember that?
Sounds like 4,500 videos I've seen.
No, it's,
like
it's the famous meme where the guy's got like really greasy, long black hair.
Oh, Skrillex.
And he's watching guy. Yeah.
Skrillex.
Yeah. Well, awful
Can
name.
we bring that up? Can you bring up a picture of that, Lydia, or something? Can I see this person?
I can show it to you after the fact. But
Anyway, there's like a conflict at a college, and he yells, "But you're a white male.
You're effing a white male."
Yeah, you're an effing white male." And there's like a bunch of moments like that. And that's where this fractured ideology was emboldened and empowered by these algorithms, broke into the mainstream. We talked about it a few years ago, like, oh, these dang old college kids acting all crazy, huh? And now they're in positions in government, and now
they are the real world.
Yeah, now they're in their 30s, and they're running nonprofits, and they're infecting.
So this is the first I'm hearing of the fact that you know, because obviously you predate me by like just a couple years, but still, you've been in this game and you've been now you're running it. You're like, this is pretty crazy. You're saying that the algorithms are almost what drove the intersectional push, which is kind of in line with the scriptures, the Bible scripture that says, not that money is the root of all evil, but the love of money is at the root of all evil, which probably transcends multiple cultures. But I believe the Bible is authoritative in that source, in that you're saying that this is like basically very important.
I'll tell you.
They love money, so then they bring us this doctrine. This doctrine moves in, it brings more money. So all at the source of this is somebody saying we're going to get rich off of effing over the entire country, let alone the whole world.
They don't look at it that
Yikes.
way. I think a lot of these people are ignorant. Some of them know what they're doing. There's a prominent site that collapsed recently in the past year or so. When they started, they were a libertarian pro Ron Paul website because that was really popular on the internet. And then they realized it's not like some dude sitting in a room and he goes, here's a map of the algorithm. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to promote this stuff to make money. What happens is they hire 10 people. One guy writes intersectional stuff. One guy writes police brutality. One guy writes about science. And then all of a sudden they start realizing intersectionality does the best. They're not looking at this person being like, okay, intersectionality articles are doing great. What happens is they say, have you seen John's articles? They're getting like 1 million views. It's great. Let's have him get a team together and hire some people. John, an SJW, then hires more SJWs, make a unit. That unit starts getting way more traffic and way more views. And many of these companies did not actually realize what was happening. Some of them did and tried to capitalize on it, and it didn't work because they tried telling people, we want you to write this. And the people would be like, I'm not writing that garbage. And then it wouldn't work. The companies that worked naturally just hired those who got the traffic. And this created a big bubble of empowered media personalities who were woke, far left. And now many of them have moved up in these companies, and now they're 30 or 34 or whatever. And now they're hiring young people who agree with them. And now the New York Times, for instance.
They were raised on their milk, basically. And that's what I'm seeing. And the really interesting thing is about this whole intersectional push and this weird dogma is how quickly it's become mainstream, which is really interesting because...
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.